Hello lovelies, welcome back to Alake Gay YouTube channel. In today's tutorial, I'll be learning how to make this short dress with side ruffles. So if you're interested in learning how to make this, please continue to watch this video. And if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for sticking around. I love you. And if you're new here, please consider subscribing. So to start off, I have my fabric on fold. And this is what I'll be using to cut the skirt part. I'll be cutting the skirt part first. So the length of the skirt is, I'll first mark the waist to the hip measurement, which for me is 8 inches. Please use your own measurement. And the length of the skirt is 22 inches, including the Emmy allowance. I've added it there already, so that's what I marked there. So on the waistline, I will not be adding that to it. The skirt part will be that less, so I'll just be marking quarter of my waist circumference. My waist circumference is 28, so 28 divided by 4 equals to 7, and I've just marked 7 inches there. Then I added 1 inch for sewing allowance. For the inside seam allowance, I used 1 inch. And on the hip line there, I'm just going to input the quarter of my hip measurement, which for me is 9, then plus 1 inch for seam allowance, that's make it 10. So at the hem line here, what I have on my hip line, I'm going to remove 1.5 inch from that, and that's what I'm going to input right here on the hip line. So that's why I mark 8.5 inch. 9 inches plus 1 equals to 10, so that's why I measure 8.5 on the hemline. Then from the hip line, I come down by 1 inch in order just to create a kind of curvy effect. Then I roll it down straight to the hem line, like so. So I'm just going to use my free hand to connect it straight to the hip line already up there, and then I'm just going to connect it from the waistline straight down to the hip line, and that is all for our front pattern for now. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut off the excess fabric that I have right there. So I'm just going to cut it off right now. So now this skirt pattern, the front pattern, I'm just going to place it on another piece of fabric. So this fabric is in 2 pieces because we are cutting the back, and the back will be in 2 pieces because of the zipper that will be at the center there. So I'm just folding my fabric very well in order to have the equal sides, and then I'm going to place my front pattern on top of the fabric there in order to cut out the back. So for the back too will not have any dots. I'm not adding dots to the skirt part, so I'm just going to lay it properly on the fabric right there. So I make sure the edges they are aligned. So at the side, because they will be the same thing, I'm just going to cut off the excess fabric I have around there. So make sure you have fabric at the center that will serve as the zipper allowance. So at the center here, now I have fabric there, so I'll be marking 1 inch for the zipper allowance because I want to use 1 inch for the zip allowance. I'm just going to mark the 1 inch for the zip allowance at the center right there. So make sure you mark your 1 inch for zip allowance. So if you use more than 1 inch for your zipper allowance, you can just do that, but I use 1 inch for my zip allowance, and that's what exactly I'm marking right there. And I'm just cutting off the excess fabric that I have right there. And here we have our back pattern already. That's all. There's no extra, nothing to do there. So that is all for that. So the next thing I'll cut is the fabric for the side ruffles. So I have this fabric. I just cut out the length of the fabric. The width of the fabric is 9 inches, while the length is 45 inches. Make it like double or more of your skirt length in order for you to have enough ruffles at the side. So I'm going to set that aside. So right now I have the fabric to cut the upper part, that is the upper part of the bodies of the dress. So right here I fold it into 4. I have it on fold into 4, and I have extra allowance there for the zipper allowance. So I'm just marking my neckline. I'll be doing the neckline of 3 by 3 inches. So you can do whatever neckline you want, but I want my neckline to be small like this. I don't want it too deep or anything. So I do 3 by 3 for the front. So I'm just marking a curve right there. Then for the back, I'll be doing 3 by 1 inch. So I'm marking that 1 inch right now in order to create a curve. We are cutting the front and back together. So I'm marking my shoulder right now. My shoulder should be 7 inches because my shoulder is 14 and 14 divided by 2 equals to 7. But I added extra 3 inches to that. That's why I have 10. It's a cut together at the shoulder. So where I mark the 10 inches, I'm just going to connect it straight to where we mark the neckline, because it can make yours to be longer than that. I only added 3 inches to my shoulder allowance. You can add more. And right now, I'm just marking my armhole depth. So the calculation for the armhole is right there on the screen. So I'm marking that. So make sure you just mark that. So where you mark your armhole, you're just going to rule down the line like so. And the length of my upper bodies is 16, but I'll make it 17 for the sewing allowance. So on the line that I mark right now will be our chest line. I'm just going to mark quarter of my bust circumference. My bust is 34, so 35 by 4 equals to 8.5. Then I added 1 inch for seam allowance. And on the waistline, I mark quarter of my waist circumference. My waist is 28. So 28 divided by 4 equals to 7. So I added 1 inch for that. I'll be using false dart here, not the normal dart, just false dart. Then I added 1 inch for seam allowance, and that's what I marked there. And from the chest line, I just mark straight to the waistline like so. So at the back here, I said you should leave space for the zipper there. That's why I have one fabric side longer than the other. So on this other side that is longer, I'm just going to mark 1 inch for the zipper allowance. For the skirt I use 1 inch. So the same thing you use for the skirt is what you should use for the upper bodies. So I'm just going to go ahead and trim off the excess fabric like so. So I'm just going to cut off the excess fabric. Then, see, at this chest line area here, make sure you notch this place. You're going to need the notch later on in the course of the tutorial. So make sure you notch this area. I'm trying to make that place more visible, and I will notch it later too. But make sure you notch it right there so that you don't forget. I'm just cutting off the excess fabric I have there and the armhole and all like that. So these are my patterns for the front and for the back. And for the skirt, what I made the skirt earlier on, I did not curve this. In the front of your skirt, you always come down by 1 inch in order to create a kind of curve to eliminate any kind of puffness. And I'm just going to do that right now, and that is all for the cutting. Now to sew this, I have my front pattern. I told us I'll be doing a false dart. The false dart, instead of the normal dart, you're going to take this dart in. This one, you're just going to fold your dart allowance, and I added 1 inch for the dart allowance, so I'm just going to fold it over instead of taking it straight. So I'm just going to fold it over, and I'm just going to stitch that place. So just fold it whatever side you want it and just stitch. Do that for the front and also for the back. So right now I've already done the false darts already on the front and the back patterns. So that is it for that for now. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to join the front and the back to the skirt area. So that is what I'm showing you right now. So I will join the the back to the skirt part and the front to the skirt part right there. So that is that for the two. Make sure to take your first darts for the front and also for the back, and you take it to your sewing machine in order to join the appropriate skirt part to this. So now moving on, there is side ruffles for the dress. So this is my side ruffles. I just pleated my fabric, the fabric that we cut earlier. That I just make a pleat. So you can make pleats in order to get it to the length of your skirt, or you make gathers, whichever one. I created small pleats because I really like it, the small pleats instead of the gathers. So whichever one you do is fine. So right now I've already joined my skirt to my upper bodies, and at the hemline I hemmed it already because you needed to hem it already because of some other things that we'll be doing. So I've already joined the back to the back skirts, the back upper bodies to the skirts, and also the front too. Here is the front skirt part, I've joined into the front upper bodies like that. So, and can you see the first dart right there? So I'm just going to place them on top of each other in order to join it together at the shoulder. So I'll first join them together at the shoulder right now. So I'm just placing the fabric on top of each other. I'm sorry that the camera was not showing everything. So I'm just placing them on top of each other, the right side facing the right side, in order to join them together at the shoulder. So I will take this to the sewing machine in order to join them together at the shoulder area. So I'll do that and come back to show us. So right now I've already joined it together at the shoulder area. Can you see? So now let's come to the hammer. I told us to notch where we the chest line earlier. So once you've joined the shoulder together, you're going to add the notch from one side to the other. So that notch area, that's where you're going to start to fold. This will serve as your sleeve opening. So I'm just to go ahead and fold it. So I've done that already. I'll fold it from one end to the other. Once you notch it, you're going to see how it's going to come out. This is how it's just going to be like that. So I've already joined it together at the shoulder area like so. Can you see it? So the next thing is for us to join the ruffles to the side. So you're going to be placing your ruffles. I told us to go and make a pleat, or you gather it, whichever way, and make sure you gather it. You're going to reduce it to the length of your skirt. Like the length of my ruffle fabric for the ruffle was 45 inches, but I reduced it to 22 inches, the length of the skirt, and that is it. So you're just going to place it. Make sure you place it very well on your skirt part. So, and you can pin it. I'm pinning mine down in order to keep it in place. And the other side, so I'm going to fold it there and pin it down. So make sure you do that. And I'm just going to take this to the sewing machine and sew it straight down. So I've already joined it together. I've already done it straight down. Can you see how it looks right now? So the next thing I'll do now is to join this together at the side. Make sure you fold in your ruffles in. Make sure you fold it in so that you're not going to go and join the ruffles to the wrong side. Make sure you fold it in. Then you place your back pattern on top of the front pattern like so. So you're just going to use the allowance that you added to your side seam allowance. That's what you're going to use to join it together. So from the sleeve opening, make sure you use your round sleeve measurement. My round sleeve is 10, so 10 divided by 2 equals to 5. So when I was sewing, I just measured 5 around the sleeve opening there. Then I just take the sewing straight down with the seam allowance. I added 1 inch for the seam allowance for my side, and that is how I joined it together. So if you don't understand any part of this tutorial, please let me know in the comment section down below. So I'm just aligning together, pinning. Make sure you pin where necessary. So I've pinned this together already. I'm just going to take it to my sewing machine in order to sew it straight down. And also at the back too, I'm going to join a little bit part of it. So right now, I've joined it together at the side already. Can you see? My sleeve open is right there. The side has been joined. This is the ruffles. Can you see? It's outside now. Once you place it in, after sewing, it can just come outside, and the bottom is aligned already. So the next thing I'll do now is to turn it to the back and add my zip to the back. So make sure you add your zip to the back. And also for the neckline, I'll be using bias to close up the neckline. So whatever case, you can cut facing for your neckline, or you use bias, or if you use lining, then the neckline will just be cover up like that. So that is all for this tutorial. So can you see, this is what we made. It's just simple and so easy to make like that, and this is so beautiful and easy to wear. Can you see the first dart, the side ruffles? So if you're new here, thank you for being here. Please subscribe to this channel, and to all those that are subscribed, thank you very much. I don't take your support for granted. I really appreciate you. Thank you for watching my video. Thank you for the like, for the comment. So I'll catch you in my next tutorial. Until then, bye.